This is Main Street with Gary Allen. Now, here's Gary.
Hey everybody, Gary Allen here on Main Street. This afternoon we have a great show for you today, and I hope you've had a wonderful week since the last time we were together. Hope everybody is well and happy. We've got two wonderful people joining us this afternoon. They're a little late for school, but other than that, they are here. Miss Alison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie. She's an actress, an actor, a podcaster. Welcome to the group. Which you can see on Tuesday afternoons between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time. We'll find out what platform she is on. She is an author. She had the Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. Oh, I can't wait to find out how she came up with that title. And Mr. Dean Butler. He's also an actor and an author. He wrote a book called The Prairie Man, My Little House, Life and Beyond. So that's exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Alison and Dean?
Hey,
Hi,
how
Gary.
are you? Hi.
I'm doing fine. At least I think I am. I mean, I'm here in sunny Florida, where the
Okay.
constant
What
temperature
part of
is
Florida are you in, Gary?
Central Florida. I can literally stand on my back porch and watch the rockets take off. And if it's at night,
Wow.
it's even more beautiful.
Yeah, I bet.
Fantastic.
Although
bet.
I'm not really much for the space program, because it kind of reminds me of what's going on between my ears,
Oh, that's funny.
As one of my teachers in college at the University of Miami said, there's really not much going on between your ears, Gare, but okay. I mean, you'll be just fine. Now, Larry King, who was my mentor and I worked for, he
Love.
thought I was pretty smart. He
Really?
thought I was pretty smart. Now,
Larry then.
when I lived in Los Angeles, I used to see Larry all the time at the deli. We'd have lunch together. And of course, I played softball for the improv team right across the way there at Beverly Hills High School, along with Will
Wow.
Schreiner and Will Schreiner and all the guys, Ken Schreiner from General Hospital and everything, and my nephew.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and all the other guys. So, I mean, I had a wonderful career there. I mean, I did Hill Street Blues, Staying Elsewhere. I did a bunch of little things. I was a little too old for a Little House on the Prairie, though, I will admit.
Darn it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a
Well,
little old for
you
that.
can't have everything, Gary.
Well, I tried when I was out there, but they told me, no. Carol Burnett gave me the best advice. She said, just do what you can and be happy, So that was it. There is a reboot going on, I was told just before the show, of Little House. Now, I know you two have nothing to do with it because they did a whole new cast and everything else like that. How do you feel about that?
It's really, I guess the best way, it's a reboot of the books. Because someone said, what is the definition of reboot? And it's true because our modern reboots we see have cast members. They have the same music and it's like the same show, like a sequel.
Yeah.
But no, this, if anything, it's a reboot of the books because what they're doing is going from Laura Ingalls Wilder's writings and they're back in Kansas. They're back in Kansas like we were in the pilot.
Okay.
So they're not even in Walnut Grove yet, which our whole show was in Walnut Grove. So it's a whole thing unto itself. There will be a Nellie Olson. They've just been, people are reading for that all over town. So there will be a Nellie Olson, but in the next season when I guess they get to Minnesota because they're in Kansas now. But July 9th, it will kick off and it's got a heck of a cast. If you look, the little girl, Alice, who's Laura in this, she's got a resume longer than mine. And what is she, 11? I mean, she's been on a soap and a bunch of movies. So she's really good. They have really good people. The guy who plays Pa is really cute. So the tradition of Pa, being a looker, being a hot guy, still there. But now Mr. Edwards is super good looking in this one.
Yeah.
So that may be hard for people to take.
But
Gary, there's a beautiful new trailer that has
one of you two is out. One of you two is outdoors. Who's outdoors?
Allison is outdoors.
Allison,
and
can you go back?
And there's a lot of wind blowing.
Let me just, it was so good for a minute there, and the wind just kicked up. So let me speak back in cards.
So,
and not
there's you could just mute for a second.
Oh, look,
Allison.
I'm out of the wind. You go ahead. I'm out of the wind.
Okay, so there's a beautiful new teaser that just dropped of the new show. It's 1 minute long. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful presentation of what this show can look like and feel like. And I think if they are intent, and we both know the rights holder for this, if they are intent on capturing the spirit and feeling of the books, I just don't think they can go wrong. I think it's this literary material has been so loved and tested through the years by audiences, and it speaks in so many ways to wonderful things about being being human on the most basic level, but being an American, being someone who's struggling, a group of people who are struggling to survive and make a life for themselves. It speaks wonderfully to all of that. The books do. Our series certainly did that in a way that was separate from the books, but the major threads were pulled through. Look, I think there are going to be other characters in this that were not necessarily in the books. I think that, that's definitely going to happen. But what we have ascertained from those, and they're very closed mouth about it because they don't want to be put into Netflix jail, as they like to describe it. We just feel like it's going to be reflective of the books, and based on the little teaser, absolutely gorgeous to look at.
Well, there's people from the books that weren't in our show that they pulled up to do with Dr. Tan. Dr. Tan apparently is huge in this, and he's not in our show, but he's totally in the book. So you're going to get some stuff from the books that barely got touched in our show that's going to pop up in this, and that you're not going to get you won't get any of our people we made up for our show. So you don't get Adam Kendall or Albert. You don't get any of those.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit because the first couple times you guys were supposed to be on and we had some issues there. You were having a cast reunion.
Yes.
How did that go?
Well, we've had, if you're talking, Gary, about the first one that we did in 2024, which really was the formal celebration of the 50th anniversary.
Yes.
That was extraordinary. It was in Simi Valley. There were 18,000 people from 27 countries that came.
Peru. People from Peru.
It was an extraordinary love fest for Little House. I think it's and many of us, Alison and I, were certainly involved in the planning of that, as were many people. I think the turnout of this, it's one thing to know you've sold the tickets. It's another thing when you see those people come through the gate. And it was just remarkable. It was so moving. And there was so much love in this space for this 3 days. You were surrounded by people who got it the way we got it.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful for that reason.
Yeah. I know what you mean. When I had a reunion with the gentleman that I served with in Vietnam, in the Air Force, it was kind of like a lot of tears because some of the guys didn't come back, and some of them who did come back are not with us anymore. So, I mean, I understand that definitely. How were the rest of the castmates when you saw them? Some of them you probably hadn't seen in years, right? In some cases.
Some.
I mean, we're buddies with people, and so some of them we saw the day before or the week before because we still hang out. A lot of us who still live in LA. We're very social. We're weird. We're like, I think only the people from like Gilligan's Island and the Waltons talk to each other as much as we do. That most casts, they don't, but we're very chummy. But, Jonathan Gilbert showed up at CME, and we had not seen him. Oh my God, I hadn't seen him in 40 years.
In 40 years.
Yeah. So that was lovely.
I mean, I one of my dearest friends in the whole world is Ray Abruzzo, who you may know from The Sopranos. He played Little Carmine. He and I go back to our days with Stephen Boschkow, who gave us both our breaks in the business. He was one of my professors at Carnegie Mellon, and he gave Ray his break with LA Law. But he says, he still stays in touch with the cast of The Sopranos. Once in a while, I'll talk to Ed Marinaro from Hill Street Blues or some of the other guys, but a lot of the people now, I mean, I'm 73 years old. I'm an old fart. I'm just an old geezer.
I'm chasing right after you, Gary. I'm going to be 70 this month. So next month.
Well, congrats. Yeah. You know what, though? I don't know what it's like to be that. So, but anyway, but one question, though, what is the most asked question at that reunion of you and your castmates that you may have talked about from the fans? What did they want to know the most?
I mean, Alison, it's gotta be, I mean, I think it's the question that we all get the most often, I believe, is what was it like working with Michael
Yes.
Landon?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's the sort of the number one question. Michael was an iconic presence in television, a quadruple threat in an era
Yes.
where there really weren't quadruple threats. When I say star, writer, director, producer, Michael did everything. He owned the show, didn't physically own it, but he owned it creatively in a way that very few
Yeah.
creatives own programs today. I mean, we're seeing another
Yeah.
generation of those people who
Yeah.
Yeah.
are able to act and write and direct.
Yeah.
But Michael, in his era, in that sort of in
Yeah.
that 22 episode a year realm of enormous output that had to be done, Michael was really truly a rarity in that space.
Nobody
How
was doing that then. I mean, you have they call
Yeah.
the showrunners now who are
Yeah.
overseeing all the production, everything. Michael was being like a showrunner and the creator and director, actor, and you just back then, see, nobody did that then, and he was brilliant. I mean, it's funny. I talk about I met Carol Spinney worked at the Muppets, was Big Bird, and we compared notes about Jim Henson of all people and
Yeah.
Michael Landon
Yeah.
and their work process, their creative their personalities, strikingly similar, just constantly having another idea and wanting to be at work 24/7 because I have another idea. I have another
Yeah.
idea. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the kind of person he was.
I got to meet him. His son lived above me in Los Angeles when my wife and I lived out there on North Kings Road. And one day I walked into my elevator and who's there? Michael Landon. And I looked over and I went, "Oh my gosh, Michael Landon." He turns around, he said, "Where?" And
Where?
That's
Yeah, that
that's
sounds
and
him.
like something
Yeah,
he would
yeah,
do.
yeah.
and A so I said, "Well, I know your son. I know he lives upstairs and all that." He said, "He behaves himself, doesn't he?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "For the most part." I said, he comes around and he delivers what he needs to do and stuff." I said, "But he's a great guy. He's a great gentleman." I said, "He comes to the Improv and he watches me perform when I'm there. He's gone down to the Groundlings where I was a member for 2.5 years,
Really?
and
Wow.
stuff like that." Oh yeah, I mean, in my class at the Groundlings was Bob Saget, Kevin Costner, Barbie Benton, Nick Turturro, and
Barbie.
myself. They all became famous, and I just ended up doing radio. I mean, it was like, and still trying to figure out how to get through to radio. When you were first introduced to the idea of getting on Little House on the Prairie, and I know Allison, you auditioned for a couple of roles on the show.
Oh yeah.
Who how did it come to you? Because auditioning today is a lot different than auditioning when you did it or when I did
Yeah.
it. It was a
Yeah.
lot more you go before the casting director, a
Yeah, you
producer,
see
and maybe
people.
yeah. Now you have to have a friend of yours film you and do all the other stuff. Was Michael part of the casting process from the beginning?
Paul was so hands-on in the casting. I mean, he really did. So I came in and I had read for Susan Sutman, now Susan McCrae, for like the part of Laura, the part of Mary, which is hilarious. Of course I didn't get them, but it was like the search for Scarlett O'Hara. Of course they're reading everyone's Laura. And then they call me back. They'd shot the pilot. I'd already seen. I said, "It's done. There's Laura and Mary." They hired them. And then I get this, it's time to get to town. Suddenly I get this call, come down to Paramount. And they didn't tell me anything. I didn't know who Nellie Olson was. I hadn't read the book. I get there and I get these sides. She is so awful. And I go into and there's Michael Landon and Kent McRae and it was mind-blowing. I read that thing. They laughed so hard at everything I was doing and said, "Could you do it again, please?" And I said, "What do you want me to change?" And they said, "Nothing, just read the thing about the house again." They were in hysterics. And as soon as we got home, my agent was on the phone. I'd gotten the part. I was cast on the spot. And that's Michael. Michael, I think everyone who auditioned for him has some story about him saying, "You've got the part," and having to be told,
Yeah.
"No, you have to wait. We have to call their agent."
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
I think Michael was unique in the sense that, I mean, I think in the very beginning, certainly the network had representatives in the room. There were
Yeah.
people that were there watching out for that process. But I think Michael uniquely had control of the final decisions. He was
Yeah,
not
100%.
waiting for affirmation from the head of programming or the head of casting at NBC, which I don't think necessarily endeared him to the head of casting at NBC.
Probably not.
But yeah, but Michael had control. If he wanted somebody, he got them, and he'd proven it. So he had that kind of control. It's a, I mean, it's an intoxicating. I'm thinking it's an intoxicating level of power that he had, and because of that, Gary, he really had. There was no one for him to blame if it didn't go
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Yeah.
he really owned it in a way that he could not distance himself from the outcome because he really shaped all of it. And he
Nothing
liked to
nothing
say,
nothing
"Go
he
ahead."
ever touched failed. I mean,
Yeah.
Highway to Heaven,
Right?
I mean, come on. I
Uh,
mean, that's an iconic television show. Why isn't Little House on the Prairie? I mean, I know they're doing this reboot, all starting all over. Why isn't it on the air like a lot of other
Oh,
shows used to
it
be?
is.
Gary,
What's
it
Do you
where?
not
is.
do you
It's
have cable
never been
TV?
off the air since
Do
1974.
do you have rabbit ears and like a black and white TV? Dude,
N
there's streaming and cable. We're on like 100 times a day if you keep flipping the
Really?
channels.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't
There
get
I
away from the damn thing.
Well, here where I live, it's the station out of Orlando. It's like you get to see this, that, very limited. I mean, because I didn't get to see a lot of Little House on the Prairie because well, at 73, figure back, when was it? How old was I at that point? I was in the middle of doing my stand up. I was in the middle of this. I was in the middle of
Yeah,
that.
you were like
Yeah.
22 when it came
Not
21,
a guy
22 when it
staying
came
home to
on the
watch.
air. You were not looking for
No,
Little
I was
House. Yeah.
chasing the girls, actually 22, I was still in the Air Force. I was
You were
when
busy.
I came home from Vietnam, I got based at Andrews Air Force Base, and eventually I was on Air Force One for 2.5 years.
Were you
So,
really? Were you like a steward on Air
Wow.
Force One?
yeah, well, no, I was,
Cool.
the story is, and I came home from Vietnam, went back to South Florida where I lived, Hollywood, Florida, and I got my papers to go to Andrews. I was in one squadron. One day, my CO calls me. I'm a first lieutenant, and he says, "The president's pilot wishes to speak to you." I said, "About what? What did I do now?" He said, "Nothing. Just go and see the man and shut up." So I go in there, I sit down, I shut up, and he says to me, "The President Nixon would like you to join us." I said, "What? Join you doing what?" He said, "Well, your brother is so and so with the Baltimore Colts, isn't he?" I said, "Yeah, my brother's a linebacker for the Baltimore Colts. My
Who's your
half brother,
brother?
my half brother is Mike Curtis."
Oh my God.
And
Wow.
he says,
Wow.
"Well, you got 48 hours to decide whether you want to join us." I said, "I still don't know what I'm going to do." He said, "You'll know on your first day if you decide to come with us." Anyway, by the time I get back on my Jeep and I get to my headquarters, my transfer papers are already coming through. And 2 days later, I'm on a trip to China with the man. And
Nice.
That's a
he was so gracious. I'm also with him the day we took him from Washington to California, his last day
as
in
he
office.
resigned. As
I
he
loved
resigned.
the man. Yes, he had his problems. Yes, he was this. Yes, he was that. But
Yeah.
he was always good to me. He
Yeah.
said to me on his final day, and Alison, you'll appreciate this, having a mother who was an impersonator and did a lot of voices. Gary, let me just say this. Politicians, Republicans or Democrats, we're full of shit and we'll tell you whatever you want to hear. And then we do as we damn well please, and
Well,
he was
he was
just such
kind
a
of
great,
honest about things. So towards the end there, he kind of
yeah,
copped to stuff. I mean, the man said,
yeah.
I'm going to resign. This is the better thing to do. And he did. He was not lying
Well,
when he told you that.
Yeah,
I think
unlike somebody who should resign and he won't.
the the sense that I have of Richard Nixon is that
Yes.
he had he had th- he had the better interests of the country. He made
Yes.
some mistakes, but I think he had the better interests of the country, and he respected the institutions of the country.
Is
That
He would
somewhat he
listen
once
to
did.
they
other
I mean,
said,
people. He
once
would
they
listen to
said
other people.
no, once the Senate said, members of the Senate said, "Look, there's no path for you,"
no.
he stepped
Yeah.
aside.
Yeah.
He would
But that's
listen
how
to
I
other
ended up.
people, which is key,
Yeah.
That's correct. He listened to other
Yeah,
people.
but that's how I ended up there. It wasn't anything I did because I said to Colonel Abertassi, I said, "You're looking at my
Labertassi,
record
great
in
name.
Vietnam," and he said, "Yeah." He said, "You're an exemplary pilot." I said, "Are you sure you got the right guy?" I said, "I was AWOL twice." and he said, "Well, yeah, the second time you were in a geisha house for 72 hours late." I said, "Yeah, I was." He said, "Next time, take me." So,
So,
but
were you a fighter pilot, a helicopter pilot? What were
I
you
was a
doing?
helicopter pilot. Yeah, I had joined getting out 1970. I graduated from high school. And because my draft number was very low, and I went into the service, and I wasn't going to go in the Marine Corps like my dad. He was a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps. My uncles were bomber pilots during the Second World War. So I joined the Air Force, and I already had my pilot training out of the way. I was going to be an airline pilot. That was my dream. And at any rate, so yeah, that's how I ended up. They made me a helicopter pilot, and they lied to me and said I was going to fly C-130s. Instead, I ended up flying helicopters. I got shot down a couple of times, and had a fun
So,
time in
when you were
Vietnam.
flying Hueys, is that what you were
Hueys, yeah,
flying?
I was an
Wow.
SRO pilot, search and rescue. We'd go after the
Wow.
pilots that were already shot down
Wow.
or the men that were
That's
missing. We'd
risky
go in.
duty, man. That's
Well,
risky duty.
yeah, blame my heroin condition on it.
Okay.
But no, I
Yikes.
had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and Allison, you'll appreciate this. There were nurses that we had in Pleiku where I was. They used to sunbathe in the nude over on the other side of the hill,
You
and
you
those of
used to
us we
fly
would
over
we
the
would
top? Yeah.
we would go up to the top of the hill and pack a lunch and make a day of it and watch the nurses as they sunbathed in the nude. So
Wow.
so it was
Wow.
interesting. One question, now,
Do tell.
Allison, you come from a show business background. I know
I
that.
do indeed.
Your mother and your father. Dean, what about you? Is your background in show business?
No, not at all. So, I grew up in Northern California. I think my connection to Little House is much more that I have a sort of a more of a pioneer heritage that's really sort of clear.
Yeah,
My family's been in California since 1880, since the 1850s.
yeah.
I grew up on a family ranch where we read at night by coal oil lamps and rode horses and, heated the water for our baths on the stove.
Okay.
It was a beautiful way to grow up, and I think when I had done a movie of the week for CBS called Forever, which was based on the Judy Blume novel Forever, which is obviously a very controversial thing at its time, maybe still controversial depending on who you are, but, I think I did that, and I think that had been seen. It got me a wonderful agent in Southern California that was able to funnel me into towards some great projects, and she said to me in the very beginning of my time with her, and she was such a diehard Little House fan, she just said, "If you ever get the opportunity," and this was well before the Little House opportunity ever presented itself. She just said to me, "If there's ever an opportunity to do Little House, that's a show," and she had gotten to know me a little bit, and she said, "That's a show that you should do."
Well, your characters seem to fit in there really well of the shows I have seen. I mean, Alonzo was really a good character.
Yeah, well, I think, look, I like, Gary, in many ways, Almanzo was sort of an object, and that's what, because he was Laura's dream, and that's the way it was written. Um, and this was now, it wasn't written that way in the books, where
Hmm.
Almanzo pursued her very
Uh-huh.
carefully. In this all in the way we did the show, it all had to be Laura's infatuation. Almanzo really couldn't know that she was alive or really see her until he fell for her, but there would be no casual trifling with Laura. It
Okay,
would
now
it would always
here,
had to
here
be really serious.
here's the question. She says that kiss was not her first kiss.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
I know the fans made a big uproar about it. Thank God social media wasn't back then like it is today. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
But she says now, Allison, did you know that she says that wasn't her first kiss?
Allison
Right,
knows
because she
everything.
I know everything. I know too much. But yeah, because she did. I mean, there was something Dobbs and all. We had all these lovey-dovey episodes where Laura and Nellie fought over boys. It was Johnny Johnson. It was Jason. It was I can't even keep track. But
Yeah.
technically, she had kissed before. I think she was, she was fussing because she had boyfriends, but I think he wasn't her type. I think you're just sorry, Dean.
Oh, you're talking about
And
me personally. Oh, yeah, no, I
yeah.
think that was very clear that yeah, I think that Melissa, if we're talking about what Melissa was the kind of man that Melissa, or young man that Melissa was interested in, yeah, I don't think I fell into that category. That was okay. I mean, it was not essential to the
Mhm.
job. I think it would have made
And it's
it
yeah.
different, but it was
Yeah.
fine.
And
We
it's
did
always difficult.
absolutely
You
fine.
never know who you're gonna have to kiss on TV,
No,
and I know
no,
that was weird
no.
for me growing up, that you don't pick your husband, on TV. It's an arranged marriage. I didn't have any say in Luke the Pig Farmer when I was 15 or any say on, Steve Tracy Percival when I was 17, 18. So it's like, surprise! In
Yeah.
in my case, it worked out. We talked before. Both cases, everybody was a proper gentleman, and we shook hands and
Yeah.
went to our neutral corners. So it worked
Yeah.
out. But it is always a challenge. It is always a thing. When I mean, nowadays, they're so careful, like, if they have to have a 15, 16-year-old person kiss someone, they will put in the breakdown, "Must be 15, they cannot be." They are like, yeah, they're st but it's always a thing for actors that and if you take a role in the series, you don't know maybe that your character's gonna get married or not for a really long time. You don't know the show's gonna run
Right.
that long, and you're like, "Oh,
Right.
Right,
yeah, but your
right.
character's getting married, and you have to kiss the guy." I'm like, "Wow, was that in the thing I signed?" And you don't
Not in the
maybe know
beginning.
what you're gonna
Yeah,
get
Yeah.
into.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
realize
yeah.
Yeah.
that that's gonna happen, and it's very hard for young actors.
I knew I knew an actress in New York, and she finally got a nice part in a play, but she had to kiss a woman, and
Right.
she said, "Ain't happening." She said,
Oh,
Well, it could
well,
be
and
easier to hide that on stage. I mean,
you can
yeah.
really fake it on
you
stage.
can
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
yeah, yeah,
make
yeah.
that work
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
stage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's how I met my wife. I was on stage at the Improv. I was faking it the whole time, you know? And
Right,
now
right.
now
And now they have intimacy coordinators, and it's amazing. They actually, I mean, normally it's for the super duper sexy time scenes, but they actually
yeah,
have intimacy online to explain, if you really don't want to kiss someone, we do a thing. We like shoot you in the back of your head and did that. I mean, they can cover anything
Right.
nowadays. They
Yes.
really can.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't
Now
mind. The Pig Farmer and Percival, I liked them very much, and I personally
mhm.
had no issue kissing either one.
Now I wanna go back a little bit. When you got cast as Nellie, okay, where did you come up with the nasty, bitchy? Because I mean, your book has the title, Confessions
Indeed,
of
that's what
a
they
Prairie
call me.
Bitch.
Yes.
But what and how did you and your family deal with the fan base when you were out shopping? I mean, that must have been hell on earth.
Still, um, it's here. Well, I
Bill?
mean, I still got people following me and strange things going on. There are people still they're more afraid of me. People are better now, more sense of reality and versus fantasy. But there are still people who kind of get a little freaked out when they meet me, and it's very strange. But yeah, my family were all actors, so they knew this. I mean, we knew
Yeah.
people who played villains on
Right.
screen and on stage, and this was a thing. And I got the villain role, awesome. So we knew this was just part of the deal. To be a villain that young and have somebody throw in, a McDonald's orange soda at your face in a parade when you're 16, going a little far, but I took it as a weird compliment. I said, if I
Oh
am
my God,
doing
it's a
something
wonderful compliment.
right, it's
Yeah.
calling this
But
kind
where
of
did you come up
visceral
with the
reaction.
but
It's just
but
like
did you
amazing.
but did you know your character was supposed to play this mean,
Well,
Not till I got
nasty
Alison
there.
Eltoth, it was right on the page. I mean, I think
Yes.
Alison, when she first read it, it was right there, very
She was
clear, and
so
Alison just
awful.
waded right into
Oh,
it. Yeah.
I read the sides and I turned to my father. I said, "This is not a normal part. This girl is she's an absolute bitch." He said, "What are you talking?"
Yeah.
I read it for him and he said, "Oh, wow, you're not kidding." And she was so dreadful right there. And then I went, "Oh, yes, yes, I see. I see where this is going." And I went there. I went, "Okay, I'm the bad guy. Awesome." And ran with it. But yeah, it's been an
That can be
interesting
fun.
path.
That can be
And
very much fun.
has been
Yeah.
running ever since. You know, Gary, we do a lot of events together, and people absolutely love approaching Alison because
It is fun.
they're not quite sure what they're going to get when they approach her.
Sure.
But they said, but right away, and I've seen it, I've been watching it for years. Right away, they know there's a sense of fun happening. I always feel like Alison was totally in on the joke. She understood what she was being asked to play and delivered it huge.
Yeah.
And
She's
you
well,
don't
she's a
become one of the
pro.
most iconic villains in television history if you're
Yeah.
not delivering it
I mean,
huge.
she's a
Thank you.
pro. I mean, she's a
You're
Oh,
total
thank
pro.
welcome.
you. And it's
And by
it's
the
it's
way,
true. I mean,
by the way, Allison, I heard from friends of mine at the Improv over the years when you were doing stand up that you were very good.
I was great because well, I'm still doing it now. I have a one woman show called Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. In fact, I will be at the Cutting Room in New York City on May 10th, Mother's Day. I'm going to be at the Foundry Friday and Saturday before the 8th and the 9th up in West Stockbridge. So yeah, I'm still touring with my show and everything. And
And if
so
you
we're
want,
talking about mhm,
and if you
how
want to
much a
find
show
out
that
more, Allison Ingram .net is her
.net. I
website.
got schedule on there. Yes, sir. So
You
yeah,
got
I mean
everything
that's it.
going
We're
on there.
talking about the show being on. I mean, you know that Senior event we were just talking about. 18,000 people showed up. 18,000 people. That is
Yeah.
crazy. Our show is now running. We're on Amazon. We're on Roku. All the streaming services. Plus, we pop up on various PAX, Hallmark, etc. cable stations, so that it's technically running 24/7. And
And by the way,
I
this
go
show
on
is on
Facebook and it's. Are
this
you on
show is
Roku?
on Roku. Yeah,
Perfect.
tomorrow night, well, not tomorrow night, probably the next Tuesday night, you'll be on
Mhm.
DBTV, which streams
Nice.
worldwide, and
Nice.
Perfect.
then you go to Fox Valley out of Chicago, which was a kind of
Nice.
a home for me
Good, good,
at
good.
one time in my life. But yeah, I mean, I stream like crazy and everything, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
let your friends know. I'll contact you both through Harlan and let you know,
Excellent.
and I'll send you the Facebook thing because I'm on Facebook left and right
Oh,
all the
perfect.
time. Are you both on Facebook, by the way?
Yes.
Oh God,
Yes.
yes. And the fan groups
Yes.
on Facebook are so huge. Well, then Dean and I have our podcast. I have my podcast, the
Right.
Alison Arngrim Show, and then we have the podcast, the official Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary podcast. And there's a whole Facebook page and a YouTube and a TikTok and a Partridge in a Pear Tree and big Instagram. All of the things. We're on all of the things.
On the days we drop, Gary, we
Yeah.
drop every Thursday. On the days we drop, our podcast rises to the top 10% of all podcasts out there.
That's wonderful.
Oh yeah, we're
Now,
huge.
admittedly, look, there are over 4 million podcasts in the
Yeah, I
world.
know.
So, we're in a very big space, but it's really cool that people have found us,
Yeah.
that they listen and they
Yeah.
enjoy it. And we have a wonderful time together.
And
Allison and I
and
do this with
yeah.
a wonderful actress producer named Pamela Bob, and we really have a good time.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you ever looking for a broken down 73-year-old man,
Sure.
I'm always available.
All right, very good.
You never
I
know.
mean, I gotta tell you, Pally, I'm always available. You just give me a little bit of apple cider and I'm ready to go. I gotta tell you. Allison, your mother was the voice of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yes. Yes.
Is your family aware of that there is a very famous battalion from the Vietnam War, highly decorated, known as the Casper Unit?
No, that's amazing. No, I did not know that.
They are highly celebrated. There's a painting in the Pentagon on every front of their helicopter cabs on the Hueys. And Dean, you know what
It's
I'm referring
Casper.
to. There's
Yes.
Casper.
Wow.
They were known as the Casper Squadron. I know a captain that was part of that squadron. They are highly decorated. You can go on and you can see there's a video of the 173rd Battalion from the Vietnam War. I don't know if your mother is still with us or not.
No,
But
she's not, but
uh,
she would be thrilled to hear this.
She would,
and
yes, I'm sure
and
she'd love
your
it.
mother thrilled me to no end when she was the voice of Davy and Goliath.
Yes, and Gumby, Gumby, right?
Gumby.
I mean, Gumby
Hey,
as well.
Gumby and
Yeah,
Sweet Polly
yeah.
Purebred, Underdog's girlfriend, Casper Gumby, Daisy, and
Just
Sweet Polly
incredible.
Purebred. Also, I mean, since as you say, hey, I'm 73, the first family album, she's Little Caroline and John with Von Meter on the first family album.
Let me just say this, my fellow Americans. That's where I first started doing my impersonations was on the Goodbye Kennedy, So Long Career Von
Wow.
Meter. I mean, it was like
Right?
here today, gone tomorrow. Well, my uncle was a comedian on Miami Beach for like 35 years, Tubby Boots. So I kind of grew up in the business, even though
What
that
a
wasn't where.
great name, Tubby
Tubby.
Boots.
But
That's
his real
brilliant.
name was Charles Booth. we are somehow related, like everybody else in Baltimore, to John Wilkes Booth. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Did you really enjoy it?
That's right.
How were the showgirls? Were they really kicking up a storm for you, baby? I'll tell you that right now. But no, and that squadron was and battalion was so highly decorated. I think they've been decommissioned now. But I knew a captain. He's still my friend. He lives in Miami. Captain Jaka. He really retired a colonel, but he was, and I came in contact with those guys from time to time. They were fierce, they were honorable men, and they didn't do anything except honor the uniform that they wore for their country. But they were known as the Casper Unit, and they were
For
absolutely
unit.
wonderful.
Nice.
Was this like a Cobra squadron?
No, they had Cobras, but they were mostly Hueys, and they were complete battalion. They had tanks, they had
Oh, the
Cobras,
whole
they
got
had
it.
airborne. They were complete, and they were they didn't fool around. These guys did not fool around.
Yeah.
If you played with them, they did not, they became friends of mine. And same as in the Air Force, what I did, and I brought a couple of them out of, I rescued a couple of their pilots that were shot down, and we became friends ever since. So, it's like I wanted to get that in because I wanted to know. Now I want to
That
go to
would
the,
bond you to people. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, oh yeah,
Crazy.
absolutely. Don't you know there, you got to go there and, and do all the good stuff in Canada, Now, I want to know, Alison, the title of the book. Okay, I
Yes.
get the bitch part. Okay. But were there other thought processes for the title of the book?
Oh, yes. Well, some time ago, oddly, Howie Green, fabulous artist who helped create my original website, the official Alison Arngrim Confessions of a Prairie Bitch Nellie Olson website. Seriously, that's what it's called. At bonnetheads.com. Howie came up with that first title, and I laughed and laughed. And I said, okay, this makes sense because we're my website telling all the inside scoop on everything, and everyone was calling me the Prairie Bitch. I mean, this is what people called me to my face. Brilliant. And it stuck. And then when I finally started doing my one-woman show in the 2000s, that's Prairie Bitch, and Howie said, you are right. And then when it was time for my book, HarperCollins went, yeah, you're calling it Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. Duh. And the fun part was I said, well, we always do those long titles, where it's like, how I blah, 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 blah. That's what they did. And I said, okay, can I have a couple hours? I need to think of this. And they said, sure. And I said, okay. And I said, okay, yes, Confession Prairie Bitch, how I survived being Nellie Olson and learned to love being hated, which A, was completely true and totally the story of my life. When I accepted Nellie Olson, that's when things really kicked in. But it is also, in fact, a Dr. Strangelove joke, how I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb. Totally. I snuck in a Dr. Strangelove joke in my book title.
I love Dr. Strangelove. That was a great movie. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
George C. Scott was so crazy. And you're coming down the B-52. We're coming down. And George, calm down, George. Would you please just calm down a little bit? Try a little Valium. It'll work. It really works well. Dean, what about your title of your book? And I understand it was I can't speak. It was good for you to write this book too.
Yeah, no, well, I think when you have the opportunity to write a memoir, and it's not something I ever really seriously thought about, but as 2024 was approaching and we were going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the program, I thought if I'm ever going to do it, now is the time. At that point, only different women on our show, other than our producer, Kent McCrae, who wrote a sort of an overview of his career, which is a wonderful read.
You're a first actor. You are the first actor to fork over a book, dude. Yeah.
The first male cast member to write a book. And I just thought, well, if you're going to do it, it's the 50th anniversary is the right time to do it. There's going to be a lot of heat around it. And I think anybody who writes one of these books, what's really fun about it is you get to peel back the onion of your life, because memory is very connective, and you start writing about one thing and it connects to another idea and another idea and another idea. And it was very satisfying from that perspective. And it's a Little House book. Look, all of our books, other than, Prairie Bitch. So all of the Little House books, all the cast members, everyone's book includes Prairie in the title. They all have Prairie in the title.
Yeah.
And the publisher, my publisher at Kensington said, "Absolutely, we're going to put Prairie in the
Yeah,
title of this."
yeah.
And because it's worked for everybody. And I've got a book that's coming out. It's going to come out, a second book that's coming out on Mother's Day of 2027, called Living the Prairie Way. So, which is more of a values-based book. It's not so much a memoir, but as a values, an exploration of values in the current culture that we're living in, looking at the world through the sphere or the spectrum of through the
I
prism
gather
of Little House.
I gather that from you, from what Harlan has told me about both of you, that you're very both highly moral people, very high principled people,
We
and
try.
that is so rare. When I lived in LA, principal was something that was at a school. It had nothing to do with being an actor.
Oh
I mean,
well.
I can, I can tell you how many actors I know stabbed each other in the back, left and right. I mean,
Oh,
Is it
in the way.
awful?
Well, that was
well,
my next question I wanted to go
okay.
to with both of you
Okay.
was over the
Yes.
years, you knew a lot of young actors who outgrew their roles at whatever show they were on or whatever movies they were doing. And some of them went on the bad side of the world. Some of them stayed straight and narrow and they didn't even get in the business. Like a lot of children of actors don't get in the business. They stay away from it completely. Like
Which
Steve
is really
Allen's boys,
smart, I
which
think.
like Steve
Yeah.
Allen's boys, he stayed away from it completely. I love Steve Allen. Steve Allen was a mentor for me in a
A
sense.
great
Really.
person.
But
Yeah.
Swipe.
he
Yeah.
was a nice man. He used to come into the improv where I was emceeing along with Howard Allen, and he'd come in and say, "Oh, my son's here tonight," you know, and we didn't spell our names at all like. But what can you say about Hollywood today in comparison to then? Because it seems like I have a friend of mine who's on Y&R on the soap opera. And he said, Gary, these kids come in with a resume that's 3 pages long compared to mine that just had two
Yeah.
things on it when I first started.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
they come and they go. They come and they go. It's like, and he said, the money is not as good as it was, 15, 20 years ago, but, it's still pretty good. Allison, you're really
Allison, you're
picking
really
up the air.
breezy again.
Oh,
You're
sorry,
really,
sorry. I'm outside. They threw me out because I'm at the hospital, so I'm outside doing this. I try to step out
okay.
of the wind. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I would say some things are better and some have gotten worse. I mean, as we said with the internet, it's very difficult for a teenage child star, much like bullying has become online. If things go wrong or they're gossiping about you, suddenly it's 24/7 on your phone, not just out in public. And then the good side is the Screen Actors Guild now has the Looking Ahead program, which did not exist when we were young. In fact, I was interviewed as part of the people helping start it. And there's a place to call now. Now, if a child star is ending their show, they want to talk to someone, they want to maybe have another career, they're concerned about their education, they're having difficulties with the stage parents, someone's taking their
Mm,
money. There's a
wow.
number they can call. They can call these people. They can also commiserate, go to their events, and just have a nice time with other child actors who understand their life. Because sometimes it's hard to talk to your friends at school who aren't on a series or don't have a 3 picture deal and aren't talking about agents and managers and publicity and have no idea what you're talking about. So you can talk to kids who understand. And they have counselors there. They have, some kids say, I want to stay in the business, but I want to go behind the scenes. I want to go to film school. I want to do something. And they can help facilitate these things and counsel them about saving their money. Really, that stuff is much better. They're being much more, paying way more attention to these kind
Mm,
of outcomes as opposed to the old days where you were just kind of thrown in the deep end of the pool and hoped you didn't
yeah.
screw up and
Yeah.
wind up dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can think
Yeah.
of like Danny Bonaducci and Adam Rich and so many others that
Sure. Oh,
just
yeah.
they went to the wrong side.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it was just terrible. And yet, I know young actors who finally realized, hey, it's over. I'm moving on. I'm going to school. Whatever I'm going to go on with my
Right.
life.
That's right. I think Allison can concur with this. I think that as an observer, now I came into Little House at the age of 23, so I was sort of young for the adult side of the cast, but not really, also not in the kid cast. But I have to say, I think that the kids on the show were pretty squared away. There were not obvious
Oh
problems
yeah,
when
compared to a lot of other shows, I
yeah,
mean, Michael and his influence, and then as you remember, our set teachers, our welfare workers were consistent. It was two women. It was Helen Lanier and Marion Fight, and they were real teachers, and they cared. They really paid attention.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
I
mean,
if I were in a position, Gary, if I were in a position to choose whether I was going to allow a child of mine to pursue that path, now I would just say absolutely not. I mean,
no.
there's just no way I would do that. Now, look, by the time someone turns 18 and they want to give it a shot, that's on them. But I think it's true today. It was certainly true then. Kid's career is really the parent's career at the earliest stages of it, because the kid can't do anything without the parent. So if a parent's not all in, nothing's going to happen.
And how many parents did their kids wrong by spending all the money to begin with?
Absolutely. And it's
That
the
certainly
only way I would let a kid that I knew or had anything to do with it is I'd say, well, first day we're going to go down to the Screen Actors Guild and join Looking Ahead, and we're going to go to the Children Young Persons Orientation at the Screen Actors Guild and get the book. And you're going to meet everybody there, and have that hotline number written on your palm, whatever you need. And we're going to make sure that you have an agent, a manager, and a publicist. And you're not going to be on social media. You'll have an account, but it'll be completely run by an adult. And if you want to say something, you'll tell us, because you're not going on there by yourself ever.
Okay.
And ever. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, if people want to get in touch with you guys on Facebook, you said you're both on Facebook, right?
Alison Arngrim, I'm there. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
I'm official Dean Butler on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
I'm gonna friend you. I'm gonna friend you. Now, if you don't friend me back, I will come to your house and I will haunt you.
Okay.
I was an entertainer in Las Vegas for many years. I still have some friends named Guido, and matter of fact, you go on over to
we'll be watching
Shorty's.
over our shoulder, Gary.
You go over to Shorty's, and their big special on Tuesday night is a broken leg of lamb. It's always fun. So at any particular rate, now there's two questions left that I want. Well, no, more than that. We got a few minutes more to go. The wig that you wore, Alison, there's a story behind that. I want the story. I got to have the story, because I understand Harlan said it's funny.
My hair wouldn't curl. I'm coming in, I'm sleeping in curlers at 12 and rolling in at 4 in the morning to have my hair curled. And it's a complete nightmare. And they're doing this, and finally said, we can't do this anymore. So the first few episodes of my hair, and they said, we're getting a wig made. And so they had Ziggy Geike, wig maker to the stars. He only died a few years ago. He's almost 100. And the guy was amazing. And he and Larry, they build this wig on my head. They design it. And I get this wig. Looks great, but it's a giant metal comb right here in the front, and I don't know how many hairpins it took to hold it on, but it hurts like all get out. It's like, take your hand and take your fingernails, dig them into your scalp. Now stay like that for like 9 hours. And it was excruciating. And it was also 1,000,000 degrees in Simi Valley, and I'm wearing this thing on my head in addition to the costumes. So I think it's like, why are you so mean? Because I have this thing on my head. But it looks great, and it looks lovely when you're rolling around in the mud or going down a hill in a wheelchair. It stayed curled.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I don't have it at home. I did not keep it.
You really don't? You don't have it?
No, I don't have it. I wish I had it. No.
Was it young Nancy got the wig? I mean, they
that hideous
repurposed
child.
her wig for her. Yeah.
They recycled
And
it.
by the way, I understand a lot. Dean, I'm sure you'll hear me out on this one when it comes to Alison. I understand one of your favorite things to do is to go horseback riding.
Well, I certainly, I certainly
maybe.
did ride as a young person. I have not been on a horse in a number of years now, but
I
no,
avoid
Alison.
them.
grew up
They're
riding
never
horses.
I'm
possible.
referring to Alison.
Oh my God. Right. I had a pathological fear of horses. I'm no longer terrified of them, but I literally sat on the horse with 4 guys on the ground holding the horse's legs and a guy holding the reins, and would go, giddy up, cut, bring in the stunt woman. And then they'd finish the whole thing, and I'd sit on the horse and go, whoa, literally, this is my sole contact with horses. Absolutely not.
I rode a horse once. The horse stopped. I rolled over its head, and I could swear as I'm laying there like this looking up, he has a smile on his face like, I got you. I got you, fat boy. I got you real good. I got you real good.
All right. Hey, you kids, I know you have like one more question. Dean, I'm going to let you feel this. I'm going to bail out early because it is 2. And like I said, I'm doing this a little crazy in a hospital parking lot. I know. It's bananas.
You're doing great, Alison. Thank you for stepping in.
Alison, thank you very much.
So thank you so
Allison,
much for letting me do this like this.
I hope you give me a call and maybe I can be on your show with you sometime. I think that'd be
Oh,
so much
maybe you
fun.
should. Maybe you well should with all your stories. That's the thing. Okay. Call
Don't you
Harlan.
know? Well, I'm gonna befriend you, so, you can call me.
Okay. This
Oh,
could be a thing.
go
Don't call
through
us, we'll
Harlan,
call
it's a
you.
much quicker response.
It'll
Yeah,
be much
Call
faster.
Harlan?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
always. Thank you
I'll
so
tell
much.
Harlan. No,
Yeah.
God bless you and thank you, and I'm so
Thank you.
grateful that you
Thank you.
finally both of you came on because it's
Great.
been a long wait, you know?
Yeah.
It's been tough. We're
Thank you for
busy.
having
What are you
us.
gonna do? Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
No.
All right.
All right. All right, God bless. Anyway, we got a few more
I know
minutes to
you and
go.
you probably have you have a million questions for Allison. I think I'm just gonna toot her horn for a second longer here.
Sure.
She Allison is sort of the ringleader of our cast, and she's that because she has unabashedly put herself out there in to keep this our program alive and conscious in the consciousness of an audience, not only in our country but around the world. And
Right.
she's just been this extraordinary presence. And for someone who is known for being, really a mean, nasty person,
Mhm.
Allison is just like she is all good all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's really a special quality she has.
It's like talking to someone or putting on an old pair of shoes that are so comfortable and you feel at home with her. She's nothing like you would anticipate.
Not at all.
And a
But
lot of people.
great.
I
Yeah.
mean, how many people have you met in the business that are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, all right, yeah, nice to meet you guys. See you later. Yeah, yeah,
I think this is a really good thing you brought up. For Allison, and I think for most of our cast that tour regularly, it's really, really important to us that when people meet us, they feel like they've met the people they watched. We're not interested in now, I mean, Allison is nicer, she's not nasty, but what you get with Allison, which you got in the performance,
hmm
is the sense of fun. I get to be for so many people, I get to be that guy that a young woman had her first crush on. And what a cool place that is to be. And it's really important to me for those women who approach me and want to talk about that I'm just right there with them to be able to, and they come up with their boyfriends or their husbands or whatever,
yeah,
and everyone's cool about it. It's like there's nothing awkward about it. It's something that was part of their youth, and I'm honored to be a part of that in
yeah,
some way. And it's been Little House has been this incredible gift for all of us, Gary.
yeah, yeah,
It's extraordinary. And we mentioned that, we said at a point in the interview, Little House has never been off the air since 1974, since it first premiered. And it has moved because it has been continually updated technologically. It
yeah.
is now a digital product. It can move to wherever the algorithms are going, whatever the latest format will be. Little House can be converted to that, and it shows no signs of going away. In 2024 on Peacock, Gary, Little House streamed 13.3 billion minutes in 2024. That's 25,000 years of 24/7 viewing in the single year. And it just keeps going, and that's just on Peacock. That doesn't include Amazon, that's not Roku, it's just a remarkable thing because I think it speaks to, in so many ways, what is best in being human. It's
Yeah.
aspirational for people, it's foundational values. People learn how to be, or they get
Human.
lessons on how to be a good human being
How to be
watching the
human.
program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Dean, I want to thank you. And when you talk to Allison,
I will.
thank you so much for taking a minute out of your day to join us. I am so happy to have had you on here. I hope I've made a new friend in both of you. And, like I said, if you ever want a 73-year-old broken down, whatever, I'd be
You
happy
don't
to.
you don't look or sound broken down, Gary. You sound fine.
Well, you never know when I take the teeth out and everything.
Depends on what time of day, maybe. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I get it. I get it. Look, so
yeah.
we're all getting older, but no, but thank you.
But
And
I will ask. I'll ask Carlin, and if she's serious, and if you're serious, I'd be glad to come on because I could use all the pub I can get. Plus, talking to you guys is I still have more things to talk about.
we can go on and on and on. We love this particular property, and we love the industry. We love television. We love film. It's been really a great ride for both of us.
All right. Well, Dean Butler, thank you so much. And of course to Alison, I thank you so very much. And to all of you out there, I thank you for joining us here on Main Street. And until we meet next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and God bless.